Hello, parents, educators, and nerdy D&D fans. You have found our new home for Area of Effect, a talk show where we discuss how tabletop role-playing games benefit the whole family. We're currently in process of shifting all our old but golden episodes over to this new channel by posting a new episode every weekday until we catch back up to our new episodes. We would love your help getting this new channel up and running with a follow, share, or review. And thanks for joining us on our quest to bring more adventurers to the table.
Are you wondering what Matt and I do on the War Rocket Ajax podcast?
You might be better off asking what Chris and I don't do. We
rank every comic book story from best to worst,
interview comics creators,
reread long runs of comics and recap them,
review the week's comics,
catch up on comics we've never read before,
answer listener questions,
rate swords,
recommend games, books, movies, and other things we like,
check in with what we're doing with our lives,
determine the rawest moments in comics history,
judge fighting tournaments of fictional characters.
We're Rocket Ajax. We do a lot every week wherever you get podcasts.
Hey there, this is Wythe Marshall from the Stillfleet Studio. We put together a little podcast called Why We Roll, and now we're very proud to be part of the network Podderation. So if you're listening to one of Podderation's other great shows, and you're interested in TTRPGs specifically, that's tabletop role-playing games, you might be interested in our show. Why We Roll is all about how you make TTRPGs, what makes them fun, different kinds of stories you can tell with TTRPGs, and even the business, so the practical advice side. So if any of that sounds appealing, whether you're a GM, you want to design your homebrew game, or you're interested in getting in the industry, why don't you head over to Why We Roll, check us out. We really, really appreciate it, and keep making awesome stuff.
Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us today for this first episode of Area of Effect. I'm Allison. I am a D&D enthusiast and a parent and somebody who's passionate about bringing teenagers to the table. I know that teens face a lot of challenges in modern life these days, and I'm a firm believer that tabletop RPGs are one tool that can be used to help teenagers express themselves, grow in confidence, skills, character, and leadership. And I'm all about bringing more teenagers to the table today.
And I'm Ryan, and after a 20-year career with children, I can safely say that our society does not take children seriously. Kids are treated either as adults in waiting or as less than human. And I'm a big believer that children are human, fully human, just as they are. That's one of the things that I enjoy about tabletop RPGs, that kids learn how to have a voice, they learn how to work with other people, and most importantly, that they have a seat at the table.
So, welcome to Area of Effect, a podcast by the Kids Table, where we discuss how tabletop RPGs benefit kids and answer your questions about playing TTRPGs with the kids at your own table. So today we want to share a little bit with you about who we are, why this is important to us, and a lay of the land of what you can expect from Area of Effect in the future. So introducing myself, I'm Allison. I'm a parent of 2 young daughters. I have worked with teenagers in various capacities for 20 years. And Ryan and I got our start together when I was living in the same area in California. But in the past year, my family has made a big move and moved to Florida. Ryan and I both recently found ourselves in the position of being full-time stay-at-home parents suddenly versus full-time working outside of the home. And we always kind of had this idea that we wanted to bring more kids to the table. This idea got started for me years after I actually discovered D&D. In about 2010, my now husband and I went to visit a friend, and just for a weekend trip, and that friend introduced us to Pathfinder, which was something I'd never experienced before, especially having grown up during the Satanic Panic era in a fairly conservative family. And but it was something that always kind of spoke to me as kind of a sci-fi fantasy nerd kind of a person. So I tried it out and I fell in love with it. Unfortunately, since that was just a visit, we left after that, and I didn't really have any other opportunities to play TTRPGs for a while, but I kept having this longing to get back to doing something like that. And then after many years of begging my friend Ryan to play with us, he finally acquiesced. He can talk to you about that in a little bit, but we have had our own campaign going for, gosh, 7 years now, Ryan.
Oh, what year is it?
Since before my older daughter was born. I think so.
Yeah, it's pre-Ori too. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of a cool like dual world campaign, which we can get into another time. So basically, I started playing in 2010. Like I said, have been working with teenagers for 20 years. And it wasn't until about 2015, 2016 that I actually even had the idea to play D&D with the teenagers that I worked with. So eventually I started doing that a little bit more and saw the way that D&D can benefit kids. So I believe that D&D is something that can help teenagers explore different facets of their personality, what they do feel like speaks to them or do not feel like speaks to them, who they want to be as an aspirational character, or who they just think feels fun to be in more of an immersive fantasy type of experience like anyone would have when reading a book or watching a beloved favorite movie. I've also seen D&D have a huge boost on confidence for teenagers who feel overwhelmed socially. Teenagers who experience anxiety in different aspects, they can learn leadership skills, they can learn communication, they can become more confident in their own capabilities, and they can develop compassion and empathy for people who have experiences that are different than their own. And I think that's a huge benefit because nowadays we're seeing such a divide between people, and that we're seeing people who are like-minded drawing closer together and separating more from people who have different worldviews and different experiences. And D&D is a way to keep us connected to alternative worldviews and have compassion for people who just are facing different things in life than we are.
So I'm coming at it from a different from a different angle. I am not a D&D native. I am a huge nerd. Was a huge nerd when I was a kid. Still a huge nerd. Love video games. I'm a huge lit nerd. But D&D and tabletop RPGs were not really on my radar growing up and going through college and going through grad school. Like they just were not something that I knew that things like that existed. But they're not really they weren't really present for me. So where I come from instead is kids. I have been working with children all the way up through like age 9, 10 for the last 20 years. And so I recognize how many structures in our society, which is to say all of them, are not built for children. Some of them do their best to accommodate children, like the educational system, but no system on our planet is built for children. Our society is built for adults, and sometimes kids have entry points, but more often our structures leave out children or treat them as less than human. So I'm always working to try and find ways to take those structures and get kids into them. So, 10 years ago, my favorite TV show was The Amazing Race. And so I tried to create a kid Amazing Race for the kids that I was around and, tried to do, go around the city. And so you can see this thing and so you can see that thing. And, that was pretty fun. So it wasn't until Allison really got me into D&D 7 or 8 years ago that I started thinking immediately about how do we get kids into this space. Because a lot of the issues that Allison is talking about that teenagers are having, by the time you're talking to teenagers, it's not that it's already too late, but the problem has already been missed. These traits that we're going to talk about, empathy, communication skills, leadership skills, you can be starting those with children, with young children already. And every study says when you are starting those sorts of social emotional development characteristics young, kids carry them for the rest of their lives, so that when they become teenagers, they're not having some of these issues, and or they've been given a set of tools to deal with these pressures in a different and better way. And when these kids become adults and when they're pulling the levers of power, they are pulling them with compassion and with empathy and with an eye towards the group rather than, the individual. And so I'm really excited to explore more the ways that we we bring kids to the table, and not in sort of a tokenistic way, or a way that they're sort of watching us adults do the thing that we're doing, but rather how we're creating space for children to be children at a table that is specifically for them, so that they can be learning these things and teaching us these things as well.
Those are some of the things that we're passionate about. And then in the future, we're really hoping to answer your questions, audience. Any speed bumps that you're coming up against, either as you're thinking about playing tabletop games with your kids, or they're asking you to play, but what are some of your hesitations or fears or concerns? Or if you already are playing, what are some of the issues, needs, and support resources that would be helpful to you to be able to do it better and to be able to focus on your time at the table with the kids in your life, whoever they may be, rather than spending a lot of time worrying about or reinventing the wheel, creating your own support resources. We're here to create some of those resources for you to take some of the guesswork out of playing D&D with kids. So that's what Area of Effect is about, and we hope that you will come along this journey with us and interact with us.
So check us out on Instagram, the Kids Table D&D. Our YouTube channel is also the Kids Table D&D. We'd love to hear your questions. We'd love to hear what you're thinking about, and the ways that we can work together, because when kids are at the table, everybody wins.
Hey there, Hugh from Podderation here, and if you like today's show, why not have a listen to the All Things Nintendo podcast, hosted by Brian Shea, former director and Game Informer and lifelong games journalist. The show explores the ins and outs of gaming's oldest company and one of its biggest, featuring interviews, featuring reviews, featuring everything you want to know about the world of Nintendo. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website at podderation.com.